Well, good morning, everyone. It is Tuesday, June 17th, 2025. We get together most weekday mornings. We didn't yesterday, but back on track the rest of the week. The goal today is to go through our model overview. We want to have transparency and clear understanding of what it is that we do, how it benefits participants of the grant, and how it can financially enable those of you who are interested in being a distribution partner. So, as shared on the screen here, Express Shelf Corporation Model Overview. Let's go ahead and dig in. So, as an introductory statement, our 501c3 nonprofit organization administers a grant funded program designed to assist entrepreneurs in accessing capital through a three-prong strategy. Let's go through what those three elements are. The first mandate we have is to increase financial literacy. And actually, these morning Zooms are an important part of that, but not the only way, but an important part of that. Secondly, we want to help entrepreneurs have a fundable business entity. As you've heard us say so many times, and in fact, it's going to be coming up here soon, if someone wants business funding, you need to have a fundable business. Well, a lot of people, they don't know what you know. They lack financial literacy, that there is a formula for funding. Just like if you wanted to get a mortgage to buy a house for you and your family, if you meet the underwriting for the mortgage, you get approved. Now, there's different types of mortgages, and those different mortgages have different underwriting. Same is true on business funding and business financing. There's always going to be underwriting involved, so we need to find the right type of funding or financing, and we need to meet the underwriting criteria. And that starts by having a fundable entity, which we'll talk more about momentarily. And then our third mandate is to actually deliver off of that knowledge, off of that fundable entity, and actually get money into the hands of entrepreneurs. The way the grant's written is we guarantee in writing, guaranteed a minimum of 100,000 to start or grow a business. Sometimes people say, oh, it's up to. No, the grant states we have to work with each participant to get at least 100,000. Some people will ask, well, what's the maximum? There is no maximum. Now, of course, it's not too good to be true. It's not a game of Monopoly. We are going to need to qualify for it. So, how fundable our entity needs to be is obviously different if we wanted 100,000 versus 5 million. But regardless, we can help clients on any capital raise that they desire. So that's our introductory statement. Any questions, comments, concerns on that? Type it into the Q&A. Otherwise, we're going to start drilling into the model itself. There are two phases to our implementation process, and it's very important that you're cognizant, that you understand the difference between the two phases. Clients or grant participants can participate in phase one, but not two. They can skip one and go right to two. They can do both, or of course, they could do neither. So they don't have to do both. But let's start with phase one. As we mentioned a moment ago, to obtain business funding, an entrepreneur must have a fundable business. Can't get around it. Can't just want it to happen. Can't just need it to happen. We need to have a fundable business. So, with that being said, through the grant, participants are able to receive a free Express Shelf Corporation. Now, if you've been with us for a while, you might say, oh, that wasn't free. Well, it is now. As of June 1st, we received an amendment to our grant where we're actually able to provide the Shelf Corporation with the grant allocating the cost up front, the 10,000. Prior to June 1st, participants had to pay for it. They could finance it, but they had to pay for it, and they got reimbursed. So just keep in mind, things change as time goes along. This is true now and has been since June 1st. Now, there is a processing fee for us to transfer ownership. Why is that? Well, We have to pay the legal team to transfer the ownership of the shelf corporation to the grant participant. Just like you could give me a piece of real estate, or I could give you a piece of real estate, but just a verbal transaction doesn't convey ownership. We'd have to go down to the title company and it would have to be transferred in ownership. There has to be a bill of sale, there has to be documentation. So, other than the processing fee, there is no cost. The shelf corp is paid for by the grant. Thus, we label it as free. Sometimes people ask, well, what is that processing fee? It depends upon the reseller that you're working with. We have almost 1,000, not quite, but almost 1,000 different resellers. Many are attorneys and accountants. Some they come from all different walks of life, but they get to determine the processing fee. So you'll need to check with the reseller that you're working with in terms of what the processing fee is. So then that takes us to the very important question, well, what's included, right? What do I get? What does the grant participant get with an Express Shelf Corporation? It's an incredible value, so let's go ahead and go through the bullets together. So if we agree that we need a fundable business entity to get business funding, which we introduced here and then restated here, we need to provide that, don't we? Otherwise, it would be a misfire. So we provide that. So we provide a business entity as well as the EIN. And of course, it's in good standing at both the state and federal levels. It has no debts. It has no obligations. There's nothing negative about it. Now, it's worth mentioning because you may not want to assume that. I guess theoretically, someone could buy a business and the business might have tax liens or other liabilities. In our case, that's not the instance. It's clean. So that's bullet number one. And that's a good start, right? Really can't do much else to get business funding if we don't have a business entity that's in good standing. So that's a good start, but that's not all that's needed, not all that's included. We also need what's called a loan package. And when I used to work at the SBA, that was a big part of what we did. We built out the documentation to support the capital raise. So with the free Express Shelf Corporation, they receive a business plan, corporate bylaws, those types of internal documents, financial projections that go out 36 months, 3 years. So the loan package documents is number two. They also receive a free unique commercial address. Now, this is a point that sometimes there's questions on. We do not charge for the address. We provide a unique address for every grant participant. They do not have to pay for that address now or later. It's for the lifetime of the business. It's a great deal. Now, are there alternatives? Sure. The grant participant could go buy their own real estate. They could go rent a building, but in all those cases, they would have an expense. In this case, there are no expenses for the address. The address is free. We also provide collateral. What's collateral? Well, collateral is what's pledged against the pledged to the lender in case the borrower shouldn't repay the loan. So collateral is important for traditional business loans. We provide collateral, comes in the form of AR, accounts receivables, and of course it's real AR, real accounts receivables that if the client wants, we can liquidate into cash. And then lastly, we provide access to the opportunity fund. You've heard us many times talk about the 3 C's: credit, collateral, and capacity, which means cash flow. Our model actually delivers all 3 C's, and that's why it's so successful. That's why so many people enroll. And frankly, that's why we can make these guarantees, because we're providing all 3 C's. So that's what's included. Now, I want to also talk about 2 optional elements because our goal today is full transparency. So the mail forwarding is a pass-through expense. So if the grant participant wants us to forward the mail to them, they need to pay for it. Kind of makes sense, right? And that'd be the case, I think, anywhere, right? You can go get your mail at the St. Louis Arch, but if you wanted them to forward your mail every week, you'd have to pay for the postage. So that's a pass-through cost. It's optional. They don't have to do it. It's optional. And then we have the funding program, which is phase two, which we're going to go into. So I'd like to pause for a moment and address any questions any of you have on phase one. Phase one. Now, if you're a reseller, that is all that you sell. You only offer phase one. We handle phase two. Phase two, which we're going to go through, has more moving parts. It's more client specific. It's less standardized because we have to work with the clients to get the amount of money for the purposes they want. So if you're a reseller or want to be a reseller, which is free, then what you're offering is only phase one. Sorry, only phase one. Now you're paid off of phase two, which we'll get to in a few minutes, but this is all that you offer. So often we'll have resellers, they'll have a ton of questions on things that they don't offer. That's not what you do. As a reseller, all you offer is, which is a big deal, is you give away essentially free shelf corps. Now, will many clients want to use that shelf corp to go to funding? Of course, but that's not your lane. That's not what you do. What you do if you are a reseller or want to become a reseller is just phase one. Okay, Drake asked, are there any other costs with phase one? Because Drake's only going to ask about phase one because phase two is not his lane, and we're going to get to phase two in a moment. So again, the shelf corp comes free. There is a processing fee to cover the transfer of the ownership. The amount of the processing fee is determined by the reseller. And with that being said, there are two optional elements, Drake, and it is the mail forwarding. If they want their mail forwarded, pass-through cost, we can forward it or not. It's up to them. Makes a lot of sense to get your mail because what happens is when someone owns a business, they get mail from the Secretary of State. They get mail from the federal government, from the IRS. Not meaning negative mail, but just mail that they need. In fact, you need to have a good address that you receive mail at. So we provide the address for free now and forever, pass through cost on the mail forwarding if they want it. All right, and then Anella brings up a good point. Yeah, so if they opt into the mail forwarding, then we're also giving them a full documented lease, and that's helpful. So again, it's still free, right? We're not charging them for the lease. Free now, free forever. But the lease is very helpful, Ms. Hall, as you mentioned, having in the loan package. So that's true. Okay, so I think we're okay on phase one. Well, now I guess Ms. Hall's question is, what if someone has some of these elements already? Well, that's a great point. So let's talk about that for a moment. Well, so if a client already has a business entity and EIN that's in good standing, they wouldn't need an express shelf corp. Instead, they should use their entity that's in good standing for the capital raise. And we have a different solution for that. It's not our topic today. So if they don't need first bullet, I don't think that they should participate in the grant. I know it's free, but I don't think they should participate. All of this is kind of like a business in a box. It's packaged, and so it all comes together. Now, Anella's question is, well, what if they already have an address? Well, that's fine if they already have an address. Really doesn't matter to us. This is again a business in a box. The Express Shelf Corp. This isn't customized. This all comes standardized. When we get into phase two, which we've not gotten to yet, we will in a moment, then we can do any type of customization that the client requires. But this is standardized. This is why it's so easy to make a ton of money helping a lot of people as a reseller because there's no moving parts. It's real clear, right? If you're a reseller, you determine what the processing fee is. We provide you an editable client agreement. You edit the agreement with your information. Put whatever you want the processing fee to be on it. You can charge a little, a lot. It's up to you. The deliverables are very standardized. And then we'll follow up with them and say, hey, do you want mail forwarding? If so, we'll set them up. You don't have to do that. Hey, do you want to go into funding? If they want to do that, we'll set them up. So the key is to keep it simple. Keep it simple. As a reseller, you are not responsible for this bullet. You're not responsible for this bullet. You're not responsible for phase two. But let's go ahead and go through phase two because I'm sure you want to know about it, and that's kind of where the rubber hits the road. So let's move forward. So, as stated here, if desired, so it's optional. Do they have to do it? No, we just said optional. If they don't want their mail, they don't have to get their mail. Crazy decision, probably illogical, but they don't have to get their mail. If they don't want to use their shelf court for funding or they want to go facilitate it on their own, they can. But if they want, we can then put them into our funding program. Our funding program guarantees a minimum of 100,000. There's no maximum, and that matches with what we set up here. So nothing has changed. So this is where we actually take that shelf court and prepare the file for funding and facilitate the funding process with our lenders. So you might say, well, what's the funding guarantee in phase one? It's zero, right? Funding is not part of phase one. Phase one is providing them that fundable business. Because if they don't have a fundable business, phase two can't occur. And we've already stated that several times. So two separate stages. Two separate stages. Anella asked, does the client, we're still back on phase one, do they have to use the mail forwarding? No, because it wouldn't say optional, it would say mandatory. It doesn't say mandatory, it's optional. If they don't want their mail, it's crazy, but that's fine. They don't have to get their mail. It's not required. And we're just passing through the postage cost. You'd be surprised, Anella, how many people make a big deal about reimbursing us for the damn postage to send their mail to them. I mean, if someone doesn't have enough money to pay for the postage for their business, which isn't much, right? It's going to be less than $100 a month for postage and handling. If they can't handle that, they probably shouldn't be in business. Okay, let's get back into phase two, though. We bounced around a little bit there. So, phase one, they're getting a free shelf court. Their only cost is the processing fee to transfer. How much is that? We've already said the reseller determines. Don't ask me, ask the reseller. But phase two is not free. Not free. It's not free. It's not free. But there is no upfront cost. And so that's what most people are worried about. What do I got to pay out of pocket? Well, how much do they have to pay out of pocket for phase one? I don't know. They're going to have to ask the reseller. The reseller determines that, not us. How much do they have to pay out of pocket for phase two? Nothing. Nothing. There's no upfront cost. Doesn't mean it's free, just means there's no out-of-pocket cost. So instead, participants only pay after they receive funding or financing. So it's great. It's great. All right, moving on down. So we've got phase one, phase two. We've covered that. Now, the credit sweep. We did a beta test. It worked really well. We're going to roll forward with the credit sweep. So let's talk about that a bit. So there's different types of business loans and financing, like we said. Some of them don't care about personal credit of the owner. Some of them do. So it's not a universal truth. It's a conditional truth. Some care, some don't. Some care a little bit, some don't care at all. But regardless, how can you or I argue, well, you wouldn't want to have good credit, client? Yeah, don't worry about your credit. Of course, credit is important. It's a smart decision for everyone to have good credit. So we were able to amend the grant to include, going forward, the credit sweep for free, which is great. So therefore, the grant has been expanded to provide a free credit sweep for anyone that participates in phase one, phase two. What does that mean? That means that we'll help them legally and ethically remove negative and help them add positive, because that's the formula for great credit, right? So am I saying personal credit matters for business funding? It depends. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. But why would someone not want to have good credit? It's not credit repair. We use a legal team that uses advanced legal strategies to remove negative items. There's no cost. All right, so there's the credit sweep we've covered. And then lastly, the opportunity fund. And then we'll open this up for questions. Grant, and we mentioned the opportunity fund first up here. It's part of the Express Shelf Corp free deliverables. Okay, but more details. Opportunity fund. Grant participants may elect to participate in the Opportunity Fund. No, it doesn't cost them anything. No, they don't have to pay anything. They don't even have to sign a contract. So there's not strings attached. That does a couple things. That allows them to collaborate with us so we can go out and help improve financial literacy, and we can help others have a fundable entity and help others get capital like the grant participants have. So it's helping us do these three things, and it is a new source of income. So there's no cost to participate in the Opportunity Fund. Not now, not later. Some people confuse that with the RMP. That's different, right? So optionally, our participants, our Opportunity Fund participants can enroll in the RMP. They don't have to. It's up to them, not pushing them. That provides some important tools and resources that I think will help them be more successful, but it's up to them. They would get a free landing page. The landing page has a drip marketing sequence. We set up their e-contract. We manage all that for them, and it's great. There is a refundable deposit that's normally paid for the RMP. However, we have an incentive that if they refer in two people, then we waive that refundable deposit. So that won't be a burden. But keep in mind, and this last sentence is really important, maybe I should have bolded it. The RMP is designed for individuals that are going to actually be active, right? Because we can't continue to spend time, energy, and resources on people that are going to be dabblers. So we do not recommend anyone participate in the RMP, even though we can waive the refundable deposit with 2 referrals. But the bottom line is it's really set up for those that want to be active, that are ready, willing, committed to enroll at least 4 grant participants per month. Otherwise, we need to spend our time and energy helping others with these tools. So for a dabbler, I wouldn't do the RMP. Our nonprofit website is 509pacific.org. It provides an opportunity to enroll in the Shelf Corp, the free Shelf Corp, if someone wants to. It provides the opportunity to enroll in the Opportunity Fund. Phase 2, as you would think, normally comes after phase 1. On occasion, we'll have someone that says, oh, no, I already have a fundable business. I just want to go right to phase 2. That happens on occasion, not very often. We can facilitate that. But the website, 509pacific.org, has all of our contact information, phone number, as well as the ability to participate in the grant, as well as to participate in the Opportunity Fund, which is referred to on the page as Grant Coordinator. Okay, so with that being said, we're going to dig into your questions, comments, and concerns. Our goal today is to make sure that we have transparency and we all have a common level of understanding. And also we reiterate what is the role of the grant coordinator, of the reseller. It is simply to help, it's to educate, of course, but then help people get a free Shelf Corp. That's where it stops. Some of you are blurring that and thinking that you're also managing the funding process. You're not. It's not your burden, not your responsibility. We're not here to train and support you on that. Everyone that's involved in phase 2, we all used to either work for the SBA or at least in commercial lending. We all have at least an MBA. We all have either a law degree or at least a graduate paralegal certificate. So that doesn't mean we're smarter than you or better than you, but there's a lot that goes into phase 2. That's not easy for us just to say, oh, we'll show you how to do it. So instead, all you need to worry about if you care to be a grant coordinator reseller is phase 1. We take care of the rest. All right, so I see that Christy is asking about the compensation, and that's fine. This is all about transparency. So I feel like what Christy's asking is if someone participates in the Opportunity Fund, how much do they make? How much do they get paid? Great question, Christy. There are two elements of compensation for the grant coordinators and resellers. Number one is whatever markup that they want to do to the processing fee. So they could mark it up zero, so they make nothing on what we say the front end. Many will mark it up $500. It's up to the reseller. So revenue stream number one, Christy and everyone else, through the Opportunity Fund is helping educate people about the free shelf corps and getting them enrolled, and the first of two streams of income comes from the processing fee, which is determined by who? By you, by the grant coordinator. So they literally determine how much they make for each client that enrolls in the grant. The second stream of income, which is frankly the larger amount, is that they're paid 5% of the client's capital raise. So it's truly passive income because the reseller slash grant coordinator is not involved with the implementation of phase two. They have no implementation responsibilities. Our team takes care of that. But the great news is the reseller slash grant coordinator makes 5 points, 5%. What does that mean? Well, if the client just did a minimum of 100,000, which is rare, the average is much higher than that. But if they just did the minimum, what's 5% of 100,000? 5,000. So 5,000 minimum on the back end based on paid out of each client's capital raise. Because remember, the client's paying a performance fee. Maybe we didn't go into that enough. So clients can choose if they want to do phase two. It's optional. But if they do phase two, there is going to be a 10% performance fee, and 5% of that goes to the out through the Opportunity Fund to the grant coordinator reseller. There's also a refundable deposit, but it doesn't have to be paid out of pocket. It's paid after they receive that first round of funding or financing. All right, great question, Christy. Let's see what else we have. Mike's got a question about the collateral, and that's a great point. So let's go back up to that. One of the deliverables is we provide, because remember, we're working off of the 3 C's: credit, collateral, capacity. So that's how we can legally and ethically guarantee the capital raise, is because we help with all three. We help add trade lines to the business so it's credit worthy. We add collateral to the business so it has collateral, and then we can provide cash flow capacity. So all threes are included. Plus, then, of course, if the individual owner has less than ideal credit, now going forward, we're able to include that at no additional cost. And that was Lamy's question. Is this now locked in? Yes, it's locked in. But an interesting point is that if you are a reseller, you might want to spin this a little bit differently, because typically you'll want to have some urgency. You want to create urgency with your prospect. So maybe you educate them about phase one. It's not your role to do phase two, but you could certainly introduce it to them. But you might say, hey, we do have a limited time promotion. If we can get you started today, we can include the credit suite for free. Normally that's $2,000 for our legal team to take care of that for you. So you create some urgency, some limited time promotion. Now, the truth is, from our perspective, it's locked in. We're not taking it away. But the point is, you may find if you offer something of value with an expiration, it could get you more deals closed. All right. So Paris asks, is there any money required in reserves to receive funding? That's a little tough for me to answer, but I'll try to answer it if I don't hit it, Paris. And Troy and I actually had a meeting this morning. So if you're out prospecting clients, so let's say that you're a reseller or grant coordinator, you're participating in the Opportunity Fund, and you're looking for people that's looking for money to start or grow a business. Well, this sheet, I think, does a pretty good job of describing the model. It's meant to, right? But I guess the question is, do you need to pre-qualify people? In other words, do you need to screen people? Well, in general, I would say no, but what we've talked about is a couple of pre-qualifying questions. Uh, are you looking for funding to start or grow a business? Yes or no? If they say no, then they really don't have an interest. But then the question that she had is, do they need a minimum amount of money? Well, technically, no, because even if they're on a really tight budget, we can liquidate the AR to get them more cash. They can participate in the opportunity fund to get the daily deposits. So the program is built on being able to take someone wherever they are, assuming they're willing to participate, and get to the end goal of a minimum of 100,000. All right. Oren asked about getting a copy of this. Yeah, we'll send out a recording of today's training and I'll include this on it, Oren. Yes, sir. All right. So let's see. Anella asked the RMP, which is down here. She asked, "Is it required?" No, it's not required. It's optional. I think as you all understand, this is not some series of gotchas. It's not. So anyone can become a grant coordinator reseller. It's free. There's not even a contract to sign on 509 Pacific. And then, as we said, for those optionally that wants more resources, we can provide them a landing page, drip marketing, develop the e-contract, manage all that for them. There is a refundable setup fee, but as I've covered earlier, we'll waive that. Bring in 2 deals and we'll waive that. So you don't have to pay the setup fee, which is great. Or you can pay the setup fee and we'll reimburse you after you send in 2 deals. But no, it's not required. Sorry if you thought it was. So that's what's happening. Sometimes people are making inferences of, well, they have to do mail forwarding and we've got to disclose that. They don't have to do mail forwarding. It's up to them. If they want their mail forwarded, it kind of makes sense. All we're doing, and we're passing through the cost of the postage. To me, it's amazing how much time and energy some of these folks spend. Well, I don't want to pay for the postage to get my mail. Well, then don't do the mail forwarding. I don't know. Someone needs to pay for the postage, and I don't know that it should be you as the reseller. Don't think it should be us. We're already giving them the damn free address. Just pay for the mail forwarding if you want it. If you don't. But absolutely no. So I don't know where you got that. No, someone doesn't have to do the RMP. Now, the RMP is necessary, I should say, if we want the overrides, because this puts you in the system so we can calculate. So that is a good point I should have gone into. So there's 2 streams of income. Whatever you want to mark the processing fee up, that's fine. But if we do want the back end, if we do want the 5% of the capital raise, then that's a good point. We do need to do the RMP. Otherwise, you're not plugged into the system and the system doesn't know to pay you. So thank you. I didn't mean to overlook that, but I think I did. Yes, we've got a lot of past trainings up on our YouTube channel that you're welcome to go see. But today, the goal was to just create more clarity and transparency. What you and I do is really important. We're helping a lot of people. We're helping build their financial literacy, helping them get a fundable business entity, and helping them get access to capital. As a reseller slash grant coordinator, if that's what you want to do, all you do is phase 1. Don't, and I know you're smart and motivated and all that, but you're not responsible for phase 2. You're not trained, you're not supported on phase 2. We have financial advisors that have a lot of education, a lot of experience that'll take care of phase 2. What you can certainly let them know, though, is how it works, and that's why we created kind of this cheat sheet. It's optional. It'll guarantee them a minimum of 100,000. It is not free. It's not free. It's not free. However, there is no upfront cost. They only pay after they receive funding or financing. So I would say 99% of the people that do phase 1 also do phase 2, but the point is they don't have to. All right, well, hopefully we covered this sheet adequately. We'll be back tomorrow morning. If you need us, go to 509pacific.org. From there, you'll find our phone number. You'll find the link if you need a fundable business, if you want to participate in the grant yourself, if you want to participate in the Opportunity Fund by being a grant coordinator. Most everything is on 509pacific.org, and we will see you back tomorrow morning. Have a great day, everyone. Thanks. Bye.